welcome back to the Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Joining me on today's edition of the show is Emmanuel Michael. Michael, good evening to you, and welcome to another exciting edition of Sport Extraordinary.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers out there. What a wonderful day it is here in the city of Port Harcourt, and we are very, very happy to bring you the latest revolving around.
All right, let's quickly take a look at table tennis on the show now. Based on his current world ranking, Nigerian Squadron Aruna is expected to be drawn by in the first round of the men's singles events of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games as the draws for the table tennis events approach. Aruna and Egypt Omar Sarr stand out as part of the 16th top seed who have qualified for this year's events. Aruna, who made history as the first African to reach the quarterfinals of the table tennis events at the Rio Olympic Games in 2016, currently holds the 19th world ranking, while Sarr, who is the second African to reach the quarterfinals, is rated 22nd from the second round, which is round of 64 of the tournament on July 28th at the South Paris Arena. All eyes will be on Aruna and Sarr, with the Nigerian making his fourth Olympic Games appearance as he contend for a podium finish in Paris. Another Nigerian joining Aruna and the men's singles event is Olajide Omotayo. And in the women's singles, Nigerian duo of Yongedem, Fatima Bello, along with Cameroon's Sarah Hoffo and Algeria's Leida La Haribi, complete the continent contingent in Paris. Other African players in the men's singles include Amadi Boulassa of Algeria, Ibrahim Dal, Senegal, Madagascar. Fabio will create history as the first player from the island nation to compete in the table tennis events at the Olympic Games. Sahid Idoho of Congo Brazzaville also secured a tripartite invitation to compete in Paris as well. So, Michael, what do you make of his preparation so far? And you think
for Haruna Quadri, you know, he's the highest ranked African player so far, seated at world number 19. For me, that gives him the leverage. What simply means is that he's going to get an easy draw in the first phase of the tournament. And that is why most tennis players, they also always fight very hard to be in a very respectable place in terms of the world ranking. Because if you find yourself in a very respectable place in terms of the world ranking, what it simply means is that heading for any major tournament, you will not be meeting with some of the big names first in the first stage, so you'll be given that leverage. You will be paired against some more players that are not highly ranked, and that makes it even easy for you to scale through the first hurdle. And of course, Haruna Quadri and Omar Sarr have found themselves in that position. So for me, I think there is hope for Team Nigeria, and especially for Haruna Quadri, because he's our best hand as it stands right now. Moving forward, I believe that it is turn of Africa to go out there in the Paralympic game and make their mark. Taking a look at the name that have been rolled out as one of those who will be featuring for the continent, has been dominating both the male and the female category, because the Chinese, they are very, very renowned and very reputable in terms of table tennis, as I think they hold a sway. They call the big shot as it stands right now, as they are very, very good on the table tennis court. So for me, I think these are the only challenge that I'm expecting the African contingent and the Nigerian contingent to be particular to face the hurdle of going past the Chinese out there, who for me, I think they are undisputedly the best tennis playing people across the globe as it stands right now. But then I think we have hope with the likes of Haruna Quadri, Fatima Bello, Omar Sarr. Continent of Africa have a hope going to the Paralympic Games.
But the question is, talking about hope, for these table tennis players, we take a look at
courtesy of whether was it a stomach upset or something like that, courtesy of food poisoning. Our contingent couldn't do anything. We couldn't even win a single game. Then back here in the one that took place, the ITTF championship that took place here in our own backyard at Lagos, because of the fact that Haruna Quadri was not in that one, we saw how poorly we finished as well. So for me, I think it's a very big question whether if Haruna Quadri is not in the mix, can we actually hold our own? I doubt. I doubt, because the likes of Fatima Bello, Fiona, them, most times they don't actually, hit that stride. They don't hit that peak when you expect them their lesson, and they're heading to the Paris Olympic game. The Olympic game is one of the biggest, sporting fiesta across the globe, where most athletes, most players out there. You begin to ask yourself, do we actually have what it takes, aside from the likes of Haruna Quadri, can Fatima Bello, Fiona, them, can they step up? It's a big question, and I think it's a challenge to them to step up to the big occasion and deliver when it matters most.
Aside from table tennis, which other sports you think Nigeria will be able to churn out medals? When you take a look at, I think about 11 to 12 sports that Team Nigeria will be participating in at the Olympic Games.
For me, out of the 24 medals, silver medals, gold medal that Nigeria have won in the Olympics, these are the sports that relatively, we want to say, we don't push for much interest for people to participate in. We don't push to see if we can be able to develop it beyond what we've seen in the last years out there. But then be rest assured that it has to do with weightlifting, it has to do with wrestling, athletic event. Sure, these are the areas I can beat my chest and say yes, we'll definitely come back smiling home. And I think that is the only area I would say yes. Expect them to exceed their previous performance, and they've been doing that consistently over compared to their able-bodied counterpart, who has not even won even half of what they've won 3 of Nigeria taking part in the Paris Olympic Games. So for me, I think generally for this year's Paris Olympic Game, in the All-African game out there in Ghana, we were able to play the second field. We be third self, where we came behind Egypt and Morocco. We did pretty well. Then we took that momentum down to the championship out there in Douala, Cameroon, just a few weeks ago. We were able to win at least. We made a podium finish. That is women in the area of athlete, in the area of table tennis, in the area of boxing, in the area of weightlifting, in the area of wrestling, cycling. We want to say generally for this year, there has been a bit of an improvement. So for me, we should be heading into the Paris Olympic Games as one of the major countries contending for silverware, just like the likes of United States of America will be contending, just like the likes of Canada, just like the likes of the host country, talking about France as well. So for me, looking at these positive indices, which have actually
testing Chinese athletes 8 times, twice as much as its standard between the start of the 2024 and the beginning of the Games in Paris. So what do you make of the situation, especially for the Chinese swimmers?
It's a worrisome situation. I think the International Testing Association should also look deeply, because if 23 out of those players who tested, positive to some banned substance,
and we heard they've been cleared to participate.
By 11 out of those 23 has been cleared to participate. So for me, begin to ask yourself, is there any, monkey business in this? Big question. I think they need to properly follow the process. You're talking about the International Testing Association to actually, look through the eyes of the needle and be able to fish out if there is any monkey business as regard to this, because you can't tell me. It doesn't happen in the anti-doping agency, World Anti-Doping Agency, talking about WADA, because you know how difficult it is for you to beat WADA in terms of any doping issue. If you have been alleged to have been involved in one testing issue or doping issue or the other, taking part in any banned substance, whether advertently or inadvertently, you must go for it, and they are all out for you, ready to pounce on you. In fact, give you more like 5 years, 8 years suspension. I think their steps is always very drastic, and they always maintain that standard over the years. That is why whenever any athlete gets into the web of the World Anti-Doping Agency, it is always a big problem. And that is why we celebrated a few weeks back, because our own Tobia motion, actually got a soft landing. As it was clear, there was a massive jubilation in the air. Why? Because we know how difficult it is for you to win a case against them. And I think the International Testing Association, in terms of the swimmers that hails from the Asian country, they need to do more, because you begin to question the transparency behind this organization. If 23 of those persons, 11 out of them has been cleared, what are the processes that they passed through before they were cleared? Are there things that they are doing that they don't want us to? I think these are some of the things, because if you should be competing in such big events out there, you should be competing in a clean slate, you know, as a sportman and woman, because you don't have to induce yourself or use a drug enhancing performance just for you to be, you know, recognized, just for you to make a podium finish, just for you to win any laurels out there. You will be a cheat of the highest order against those who are competing in a very clean and very clear slate out there. So we'll just retrieve back the laurels and give to you. I mean, so for me, these are some of the things that I think they should follow due diligence before an approval is given for this, Asian, swimmers out there.
Let's stay away from the Olympic Games as we take a look at the Wimbledon. Barbara Krejcikova head off a charge from Jasmine Paolini in the grouping final at the Wimbledon to claim her second Grand Slam single title. Krejcikova, a French Open winner in 2021, held her arms aloft as she sealed a 6-2 to 6-6-4 victory on her third championship point. With the victory, Barbara Krejcikova, who is 28 years, has emulated her late friend and coach Jana Novotná, the 1998 Wimbledon champion, died from ovarian cancer in 2017 at the age of 49. Barbara Krejcikova got past Jasmine Paolini at the finals of the Wimbledon.
A big one for her. Even before that game, many actually saw it coming. She has actually been very, very good so far. I don't know whether because of the fact that some of the big names crashed out earlier in the competition. The defending champion knocked out the competition. The world #1 Iga Swiatek also knocked out of the competition. Some of the big names, even Ona Joba, also knocked out in the competition, leaving only Jasmine Paolini and her in the final. For me, I think it was an impressive way to also make it count for her, and also fulfilling, maybe call it more like a twice the dream of what she had even before the death of her coach and a friend, talking about not Nova out there. I think for me it was an impressive one, but then it was a mixed feeling for her. Listening to her shortly after the game, she was actually happy and at the same time shedding tears. Why was she happy? That she won the Wimbledon, very impressive, but then sad in the sense that her friend and former coach wasn't there to also experience the auspicious day which she has even prophesied even before she died of ovarian cancer, that she one day will become the world champion, and it has happened. Not the first time, but this one is the second time. For me, I think what the one for her, but in the second stage she dropped a little bit on her game. For me, very, very impressive. I did not see this one coming. I expected it, to be a very tough and a very hard game for him. Why? Because something is in to it, maybe to injury setback here and there, and that is why I think he's not at the best of his form. But that is not an excuse for me. Just that he wasn't good on a day, as Carlos Alcaraz had more better, options to actually take him to the cleaner.
4 Grand Slam down for Carlos Alcaraz, and of course we hope to keep counting, for him.
Sure.
As the game, of course, goes on. As it says, Yannick Sinner, of course, I believe you should be able to wake up and know that the competition is getting more stiff.
Definitely understand that something big is happening. The likes of Andy Murray, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, these are players that have made their marks. They have write their names in the sand of history in terms of the long tennis. Yes, and their time is gradually winding down. We are looking at the next gem here. Who are the next gem that possibly comes to your mind? Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, Taylor Fritz, name them. We still have great players that is still aspiring, coming up, trying to do what the previous big name players have done in the past. So for me, I think it's more of a challenge. 7 and 28 years. So for me, there's still much time. Maybe let's say 10 active years to play.
From 28?
Yes, some of the players are still 37 right now. 38 still going very strong.
It depends on how your strength will be when you get there.
Yeah, so for me,
if injury will allow you.
Yeah, that is a big question. If injury will allow, but then I still think that for some of these players, they still have age on their side. At 28, still have more, maybe let's just be realistic, still have more 7 competitive years to go.
21 years and he's won 4 Grand Slam for himself. But the likes of, Verev, I think Verev has not won a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
I think he has won 1 or 2 thereabouts. But you take a look at when everyone was expecting them, at least when they were maybe in their 20s thereabouts, they were not living up to their position, just like we've seen for the likes of Akaras and also Yannick Sinner as well.
Maybe the reason is that during their youthful age, during their young age, some of these big names, they were dominating, the likes of Roger Federer, the likes of Andy Murray. It's very difficult to challenge when you have some of these big names that have made name for themselves, had the experience, Novak Djokovic, Andy Murray, Roger Federer competing, and you want to also break that jinx in between them. It could also be very, very difficult. Just like likened to the years where Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo dominated the world of football in terms of the Ballon d'Or, in terms of the Ballon d'Or award. You saw how difficult it was for other players to break that duopoly between Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. Not that these young gems are there were doing great. The likes of, Kylian Mbappe, the likes of Neymar Jr., they were still, still very young, hoping to at least win it. But then the brilliance and consistency of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi made might have happened to the likes of Zverev, and the rest of the players who are
12 years for this, so drink it in. Still goes to welcome back to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. It's time for we to talk football on the show. And we'll start from the home scene. Senegal State Governor Peter Mba has pledged to provide 50 million and other non-cash reward to the Rangers International Club of Enugu for winning the 2023 and 2024 Nigeria Premier Football League trophy. Mba pledged while hosting the club at the Government House Enugu over the weekend. Rangers won their last league match for the season in Jos, where they beat Gombe United 2-1 in that particular encounter. Michael, it's all about cash now, around the Enugu Rangers.
Yes, but for me, the promises of politicians, their pledges, most time is more like the more you look, the less you see. More like a mirage. So I don't want to take this very serious until that pledge is being fulfilled. If you are promising the team or you are pledging to them, you want to reward them for their superlative season so far. Why don't you sign the check for them and give it to them at platter of gold? Why they pledge? So for me, most time promises coming from our politics, right pledge is fulfilled before we could actually say yes, the man has done well. But then, to the league as they were crowned champion, if they actually get another 50 million from the governor, that would be a total of 200 million. Minus the one that some individual donors and sport philanthropists as well, billions of naira assistance right now. Great one for them, and that
billions. Is it up to a billion?
Million.
European Championship. Michael, what do you make of the setback for England once again? They lost to Spain yesterday, 2-1 at the States. What is the problem with the English national team? 58 years gone, they've not been able to win a title. What is the problem?
Lack of direction. And for this year's Euro, Gareth Southgate, these are the two problems that they have. Lack of direction and Gary Southgate, his inability to utilize, the instruments, the weapons of warfare that he has in his rank, because he has a lot in his arsenal to have used as a weapon, a very strong weapon to actually get their target, and bring joy to the faces of English national team supporters all across the globe. For 58 good years, no trophy to show for their struggle. They assemble the best of the best of the players, plying their trade. It's in one of the prominent league in the world, which is the English Premier League. 99.9% of the players that took part in this year's Euro plied their thread in the English Premier League. You mentioned the likes of Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane, who plays outside of English Premier League, that is for La Liga and the Bundesliga respectively. The rest of the players also play in the English Premier League. So you should expect that level of cohesiveness. There should be this level of understanding. There should be this level of synergy and chemistry that will coexist among these players. Why? Because they play week in, week out for their club side. So for me, the inability of the English national team to win any major trophy in the last 8 years where Gary Southgate has been in charge is the fault of the coach, because you cannot boast of the likes of Harry Kane in your team, who is the highest goal scorer for the Bundesliga. You cannot boast of the likes of Jude Bellingham, who won the La Liga and the Champions League, played vital roles for Real Madrid so far this season. You cannot have a player like the league for the just concluded season. You cannot have the young talent of Kobe Mainoo and Cole Palmer, who were very instrumental for their respective club, Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and for Chelsea. And they are struggling. You can't have the likes of Bukayo Saka, the Black Angel, who is one of the most important players for Arsenal Football Club. Look at the players I'm mentioning and the club side they ply their thread. Will this not be enough instrument in the hand of Gary Southgate to get the job done?
But he has been taking them to the finals.
Taking them to the final is not the big problem. So many countries have been into the final before. But what counts for you, what posterity will judge you, how many of these finals did you win? Because in time to come, nobody will ask you how many times you got to the final. What they want to know is how many finals did you win. Because it's the trophy that will speak for you and not how many times you've been into the final. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, they are one of the countries that have been into the final and even the semi-final of the African Cup of Nations if you go down through the history. But what will be recorded for us is that we've won the African Cup of Nations only 3 times. So you take a look at all of this. So being into the final doesn't really count. But you winning the final is what counts. Last time they lost it to Italy because of penalty shootout. This time around against Spain, which is arguably the most impressive team in this year's tournament. You expect to go and win Spain? No. After they have struggled during the group stage. In fact, they were being pushed. They dangled through to the final because you take a look at their game. They struggle to score goals. Either they come from behind, 2-1, manage to go on penalty, 1-0. So you take a look at them, you want to say, yes, they will get to the final because there are other teams better than them that should have been into the final, but then they got to the final. You expected them to make it, and they went back to sit back, absorb pressure from the Spanish side. I think for me, even before the kickoff of that game, I had really predicted, I have made it clear that even if England get to score 2 goals in the first half, Spain will still win them because they don't have a clear-cut pattern of play. Gary Southgate was short of ideas yesterday. When he tried to make use of maybe what he had, I think the timing wasn't there. When he brought in Cole Palmer or the Watkins, Cole Palmer came, he saw the difference. He scored the equalizer at the nick of time when it was already late. But then they couldn't hold on to that. So for me, it was just a very disappointing one for England. 8 good years unable to win any major trophy for Gary Southgate.
The highest as it is. But we have to move on as we take a look at the Copa America. It was Argentina who got the victory after Mikel Oya Sabas, goal in the final was, which was the 117th goal, of course, that we saw in that particular encounter. But that was the goal that actually, I beg your pardon, that was the goal, that Spain, of course, used to get that victory. But for the Copa America, we saw a very impressive display for Lautaro Martinez, who actually put up a very impressive, display down there to get Argentina, their 16th Copa America title. Michael, what do you mean?
America this time around. Great way for the Argentina. I think they are no doubt the best team as it stands right now. If we go by the latest ranking that we are expecting very soon, I think the world #1 right now, because actually blighted Messi's performance, who is always the man to watch out for. But then we still see another player coming in between to also make the difference, carry the burden of the team in his shoulder. Talking about the Inter Milan striker Lautaro Martinez, for me, I think he did pretty well. Not also forgetting, Angel Di Maria as well, who also did pretty well. I think for me, it was impressive victory for the Argentine national team against the Colombians, who were very dogged. And in fact, the Colombians, for you to beat them, you need to prepare extra hard, because the record that they hold is very impressive. About playing about 27 or 20. Very impressive one. Big congratulations to them.
Big congratulations to them. Despite the injury down there for Lionel Messi, they were still able, of course, to get that one for the man. And of course, taking a look at the performance of some players, the best player of the Copa America this year went to James Rodriguez.